that I would like to say, in Ndi Igbo, one of the monarchies that is very, very well recognized is in Onitsha. So let us take an example. The Obi of Onitsha is the monarch, the traditional ruler of Ndi Onitsha.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think Ndi Onitsha will feel if one day one man who calls himself Sarakin Hausa or Oba Yoruba decides that he is now the monarch, the co-monarch in Onitsha, and begins to ascribe to himself all the attachments of a monarchy that are given to the Obi of Onitsha, such that he can now say to the Obi, well, if you need to see me, come to my palace. I too am an Eze. How do you think Ndi Onitsha would feel? And that to me is the essence of the issue. You can decide to call yourself Eze Ndi Igbo. I don't have a problem with that. That is your right. But let us understand that you are organizing yourself for Ndi Igbo in another man's land. And you cannot, or at least in my opinion, I think it is very unfortunate if you begin to ascribe yourself the same powers and expect the people that live in their traditional society to begin to view you at par with their own traditional ruler. That's what I had a problem with.
Okay. So now, uche onye adị njọ na Ndị Igbo nwee ike ime efefa chọọ ime ebe ọbụla fanọ kama na ọbịa bụ onye mere gịnị
abịagbule. That's the point.
Nke ọbụla anyị na-eme na ife belu n'oke ka dibịa na-agwọ anyị mebelu ama na-enwe ọdịbendị malụkwa na ọ nwekwa na nkụ dị na mba na-eghele mba nni. So I think that is really an important aspect of our lives that we must continue to exhibit even among our host communities. Mazi, okay, do you have anything to add to what you heard? And
not so much. I know that as my people will say we don't have anything to add, then we go ahead and speak for an hour. But I really don't have so much to add. I think you summarized it nicely. Yes.
And so the point being that we have been in this conversation, and I think it's a very important conversation about the Igbo and their neighbors, because a lot of what we have faced as a nation and as a people derives from the way we interact amongst ourselves and also with our world. That is Ndi Igbo, because the Ndi Igbo has gone beyond just our homeland, Ndi Igbo. It's gone to, there is a thriving Igbo community in every continent of the world. And so as Ndi Igbo and as people who travel, we have to now begin to develop the finesse and some of the wisdom and strategies on how to wachie ebaibi. We also heard from some of our listeners. Okay, will you want to address some of the other comments?
Yes, the number one was a lot of listeners are encouraging us, and we thank you very much for it. But a lot of the comments at the beginning and at the end was that they will like us to speak more Igbo. Yeah, I like it. I na-ekwu n'onu Igbo be anyị ọ bụgodị na anyị na-ekwu ya n'Engili Igbo na ha ya aghọta. So anyị ga na-anwa anyị nụrụ ife unu kwuru, anyị ga na-anwa ị na-ekwu n'Igbo ka unu wee nụ ife anyị na-ekwu, mana ife anyị ji ekwu n'oyibo awụrụ na ya amaghị asụ Igbo ma ọ bụ na Igbo na-afịa ya ahụ n'ọka ndị ọzọ ndị na-ege n'oyibo, ndị anyị bi na be ha na ndị anyị chọrọ ka anyị na ha mekọọ nwee ike ghọta ife anyị na-ekwu and n'eziokwu na anyị kwesịrị ị na-akụziri ụmụ anyị Igbo, mana ọ bụrụ ha ncha ya anụcha ife niile anyị kwuru na ọnwụ na anyị sụwa ya n'Igbo. So anyị kwere ife unu kwuru, anyị ga na-ekwu n'oyibo na-akọwa n'Igbo na-asụkwa n'oyibo na-asụkwa n'Igbo oge ụfọdụ na-akọwa n'oyibo. So daalụnụ.
Yes. So today we will be, for the first time, let's allow comment, people to call in to the program. So if you are within the Chicago listening area or anywhere in the world and you have access to a telephone, you can call our station 773-942-7167 to participate in the conversation. And we want to give a shout out to WGHC 98.3 FM, which is your voice, your music, your station. This is a wonderful community radio that is beginning to be a voice for the African diaspora. And so many of you, you can find us on the web, facebook.com, WGHC is our Facebook page, or you can go to www.legendtvonline.org. We're a non-profit organization, so we accept donations to help support what we do here. And interestingly, if there's no other time that we need to find our voice, it is now, because there are several issues that is affecting the African diaspora and the African, where our voices should be heard. And so one of the things that we will be talking about today is the handshake across the Niger. So many of you are aware that Ndi Igbo and Afinefre, which is a cultural organization representing the Yoruba nation, came together in Enugu to have a conversation. And so our panelists are going to, we will be talking about it and to just kind of like get a sense of what the community thinks about the outcome of that whole conversation. So, Maazi Obasi, can you lead us off in that conversation? I mean, in terms of the handshake across the Niger, what is your perspective?
Well, I think, first of all, if we can give some historical perspective to this, there has always been some form of rivalry between the major ethnic tribes in Nigeria. But prior to 1967, this rivalry was more like a level playing field competition.
A brotherly contest.
Each of the three each of the three regions, the East, the West, and the North, were rapidly developing, each at their own pace, but there was progress. The Civil War introduced a level of mistrust among the tribes that turned what used to be a brotherly competition into something that was very, very maladaptive. And the handshake across the Niger is really an attempt for two of the three major tribes, the Yoruba and the Igbo, to bury their hatchets and begin to work together for a better Nigeria. So it is based on the fact that one of the events that occurred just before the Biafran Civil War was a coup, at which time the military head of state of Nigeria, General Ironsi, was abducted while he was in Western Nigeria and murdered. At that time, he was the guest of the governor of Western Nigeria, sorry, not Eastern Nigeria, Colonel Fajui, who refused to have him abducted away from his custody, and therefore they took him to and murdered him together with Ironsi. And so it is in that sense that the Yoruba and the Igbo have decided, let us begin again to become our brother's keepers. And hopefully this is something that will move Nigeria as a country forward. So my comments are that absolutely this is a wonderful thing. However, my hope is that the conveners of this event and those who are supporting it recognize that an event and fiery flowery speeches do not change things on the ground. I am hoping that from now going forward, there will be serious people that will engage seriously to find ways of getting the two blocks to really look at what is ailing Nigeria and begin to put their political will towards fixing some of Nigeria's myriad problems.
Thank you.
So I'll stop here for now.
Yeah. So, Mazioke.
Exactly what he said. Ekwelum n'ife okwu ọfụma amara m akụkọ iro nsi na faju ya ọgụgụ ka ngoli anọrọ m mgbe o melụ. So I was not part of the war. I was born after the war, not that that means anything, but I've heard a lot of stories about what happened, and the more you learn, the more you get saddened. But it's a great thing that something that existed before the war, it took us almost 50 years to get back to it. But getting back to it, it's a great thing. It's a good thing to do. It's a way to move forward. The sibling rivalry that existed should still exist, but like the previous speaker said, it should continue to be sibling rivalry because
yes. Can I also point out what I think we are losing in this is that this is actually a conversation among the political class, because for the day-to-day Igbo, there has been several handshakes across the Niger.
Yes.
We've married Yorubas. Yorubas have married our daughters, and we have married Yoruba girls, and Yoruba men have become our son-in-laws, which to me is at a deeper level of communication and interaction. Yes. And also, a lot of our Igbo compatriots have had great partnerships that they built with Yoruba people.
In business.
In business.
Yep.
And I can tell the story of my father-in-law, who was retired as general manager, chief engineer, mechanical engineer in railways. Many of the people he interacted with were Yorubas. In fact, that he lived up to 92 years was because his Yoruba friend tipped him off that during the 1966 crisis that they were coming for him. And so he had to go. It was his Yoruba driver that took his family back to the east. And it was his Yoruba friend that was collecting rent in his property in Surulere for the entire time of the Civil War and gave him every pound and shilling that he collected. So there have been all kinds of relationships that have worked well among the Yorubas and the Igbo. And so we don't have any doubt that today the Igbo is doing well in Lagos because of these micro relationships, I call it relationships at the person to person and at the cultural level. Now, what is being problematic is the political relationship.
Yes.
The interaction within the Nigerian family when we come to the table as Nigerians. Two things I'll point out. One, the premise, I read the communique. There was one of the preambles that there was never been any kind of mass violence, ethnic violence against the Igbo that the Yoruba is implicated in. That's not true. Ndi Igbo but also na Lagos. Or how such a line in Lagos. Chinua Achebe, when you read There Was a Country, you realize that Chinua was also in Lagos, and like many of the people, like I told you the story of my father-in-law, many people were also Lagos. I brought because of Ndausa.
Yes.
And so let's not, in the process of trying to make peace, gloss over history. Manasi kara piveta no uchichi koblang.
Yes.
Manasi kwa Igbo na asi na onye ebugba n'okporo kijiji na atu egwu.
It's a card I needed it.
So na asi onye na ndị mmụọ na-eri nni. Ya welukwa ogologo ngazi.
Yes.
Obuli inu bulu okwu. So the point being that as we have these conversations, the people have to be very, very watchful to make sure, again, I don't think it should be one of those forums where we start discussing Igbo presidency or who is going to rule Nigeria or who is not going to rule Nigeria.
That's the wrong conversation.
No. I think this should be a conversation on how do we move the African forward.
I agree completely. It is most expedient that anybody, Yoruba, Igbo, that's coming to the table, comes to the table with a plan after you've done a soul searching and figured out who you are and where you're going. Because what I've seen with the political class and with our organization, even in diaspora, is you start a journey and you have a mapped out destination and you think that everybody you're going with are going on the same direction. And halfway through, actually way before you get halfway through, you realize that there are so many other agendas on the table that were unknown to you and were not revealed. And all of a sudden you see they start moving other places and the whole thing falls apart. So before it falls apart, let's make sure on each side that we lay on the table what the agendas are, not so that we pick them apart, but so that we know and so that we don't get disappointed or surprised in the middle and then this turns sour really quick.
Marcia Obasi, you have been part. Yes, sorry, you want to say ahead. Something? No, okay.
Yes, I was going to say that I am very happy at the direction this conversation is taking because, as two of you have very rightly pointed out, Nigeria's problem most of the time starts and ends among the political class. Yes, you have a handshake across the Niger. I would really like to see an agenda. Everybody recognizes that the biggest problem among especially the youth in Nigeria, jobs, security, infrastructure. We have a National Assembly that is basically inept.
Yes.
You have things that are discussed and voted on that you sometimes wonder if people were awake when these things were being discussed. Things that make common sense that will move Nigeria forward, rebuild infrastructure, create stability, create jobs.
Yes.
None of that is put on the table. So I'm expecting that all the people that are involved in the handshake, both on the Igbo and the Yoruba side, they need to come out very clearly with a roadmap for Nigeria's future.
Yes.
And then let everybody begin to buy in, because I promise you, the Yoruba and the Igbo may shake their hands. The South is waiting eagerly to come in and join. The North, Middle Belt, and the and Northern Nigeria, everybody, if you lay out a progressive agenda that is non-political, and let us do it the proper way, let the people force their elected leaders to begin to run the country the right way.
Yes. It's my understanding that the Middle Belt, some leaders from the Middle Belt were there and some from the South, which yes. is commendable.
But I like what he said. So it's a good thing to have a handshake across the Niger, but we should reach the Niger all the way to Kanji and even beyond. But we also should have a handshake across the Benue. There are 2 rivers in Nigeria.
Yes,
we shouldn't cut out any part of it.
Yes.
Everybody should be on the table.
Yes. Now, and why must Nigeria get her act together?
Well, when we say Nigeria,
wow.
it sounds as if we're talking about some foreign entity. The Nigeria is me, it's you, it's whoever is listening and whoever lives in that space. Why must they get their act together? I don't know if we are ready for this yet, but other people are actually watching, and other people have vested interests that may not actually be the same as our own interests.
Yes.
So if we don't get our act together,
yeah, but I ask this question from the broader perspective of the African in the global affairs of the world. There was a time Africa was a strong counterbalance to the Cold War superpowers.
Yep.
Remember, Nigeria was the country that led Africa to boycott the Moscow Olympics on the basis that South Africa must be free.
Yes.
Nigeria was the leader that worked hard, broke the back of Britain, so that Rhodesia, today's Zimbabwe, will become independent.
Yeah.
You recognize that. So now, we can play in the global, among the, we can play a good role among the world.
That's how they can on.
Mana, imana asna ukujie ele. Ukujie agu. Mbada ogu. You see, since Nigeria has started limping, because again, her structure, political structure and political governance has weakened her, simply because she has failed to manage the relationships within her political space, which means the ethnic relationships. Because when we talk about the Igbo and her neighbors, it's actually a metaphor for the Nigerian ethnicities working together. Because, I mean, every community within the Nigerian political space, you find the Igbo. So if the Igbo is treated well in Gamfara State, if the Igbo is treated well in Gombe, Kaduna, Zaria, Kano, in Akure, in Bini, and all across Delta, everywhere, all across Nigeria, then you actually have a unified and a working relationship with which they could be harnessed by the people, the great people of Nigeria. And so, before we continue, I want to again tell our listeners, if you want to be part of this conversation, call in at 773-942-7164. Again, this is Straight Talk Radio, the world as we see it.
The number is 773-942-7167.
7167.
And we're also live on Facebook, and we're looking for your comments. If you're there and watching and you have something to say, go ahead, let us know what your thoughts are.
Now, let me ask this question. In light of the events of this previous week within the American political space,
yes,
what should be the reaction of what should the African say and what should the African do?
Well, if I may come in here, I think there are two things to look at. The first is that it is very unfortunate that the President of America can make this statement in a public place, because what it does is to totally remove the contributions of African immigrants to America, to the American project. And I suspect that the problem is that he's speaking from a place of ignorance. Because were he to make inquiry into what Africans have contributed to America, he would find himself revising that statement very quickly. But having said that, Ndi Igbo si na onye kpara nkụ ahụhụ si ngwere pukute ya ọrịrị.
Yes.
It is agwọ emeghụ ka o ji wụrụ agwọ ewere ya hie nkụ. If we have decided that we will not live up to our potential, why would we complain when other people put us down?
Yes.
Let us accept that the leadership across much of Africa has been a monumental failure.
Yes.
Every single society around the world, except the Caucasians, have at one time or the other been put down. There was a time when even us, do you remember when made in Taiwan used to be a derogatory term?
Yes.
Who still talks about it today?
Or Japan.
or made in Japan. Yes. If you look at the story of Asian American immigrants,
yes,
they started off also being looked down on. But because their continent has made a conscious effort and have moved up to the first world, you can no longer look down at them anymore.
That's right.
So,
It is time for Africans to take responsibility to move themselves up and show the world that I'm with a mad. Yes.
my take is this, and being angry and showing your anger at the president, our president, Donald J. Trump, it's a waste of time. For Donald J. Trump, I have to channel Zoe Grace, one of the music artists that I listen to often, and she says one of the songs is to be blinded by grace. For Donald Trump, I think we should all be blinded by grace. All we have to do is pray for the man, because he needs a lot of savings. And if he does better, we do better. But apart from that, what he said is totally abhorrible and racist. There is no two ways about it. Anybody who defends that or defends him or tries to find way to rationalize it is in that camp too. I'll blanket paint them all racist. There is nothing to understand other than what it is. Now, beyond that, exactly what Mazi Obasi said. There are a lot of things I have in my head that my head is bursting out to say all of them. One is, where is our social capital?
Yes.
What have we done? We are the most educated Nigerians, most educated of the immigrants that are in the United States. We have degrees to the wazoo. Everybody driving a cab is a PhD holder. Everybody who's actually in school is getting their 15th degree. And we do a lot better than our peers, even when we get to the spectrum of color. I mean, Black African, if we map them out and say, where did everybody stand from, Nigerians go to the top. Even when we actually do it without color aligned, we do very well. Which, by the way, means that you're getting better than the $2,000 for every people making $73,000 a year family into your pocket. What are you going to do with that money? Are you going to go out and buy the latest Jordan? Are you going to go out and get the latest SUV? Are you going to go out and put that money in somebody else's pocket and in somebody else's community than yours? What are we doing with our social capital? What do we consider our community? How are we building it with what we got? I'll stop here for now.
You're right, because no onye etumunye si wedobe akwa ko gesilaru otu ensi onye otu ensi saute
Ko yesidina.
Ko yesidina. And it's important that we ourselves begin to reestablish our worth by our actions. But what I find interesting, though, in this whole conversation is the response of the two other senators that were in the room.
Blinded by grace.
Senator Perdue and Senator Cotton. My point is on an Ndi Igbo.
I go back on why not we see.
Are they deaf that they couldn't have heard what he said? And if that is the fact, maybe they need to have check their hearing check, because to effectively represent their constituents, they need to be able to listen to conversations in the middle of deliberations. Because Lindsey Graham and Dick Durbin are men of honor. And I do not think that they will come out and fabricate something that wasn't true. Now, the silence of those two,
more eloquent than spoken words,
is very eloquent. And so beyond that, again, this is Straight Talk, coming to you from WGHC 98.3 FM. You can, your voice, your music, your station. You can again listen to us on your radio dial, FM 98.3, if you're within our listening area, or through our app, WGHC app. You can download that from the Apple Store or from the Play Store. Again, this is Straight Talk Radio, the world as we see it. We're having conversation about Ndi Igbo and their neighbors and just discussing some of our experiences. We've touched on it quite a bit during this program, looking at the recent conversation that is going on within the Nigerian political space among people of diverse ethnic origin, the Igbo, the Yoruba, the Southeast, and then Middle Belt ethnic groups, as to find common ground and to build consensus. And we believe that these things should continue to be encouraged.
Yes.
Makono ekweta.
Dialogue brings it.
So dialogue brings great progress, and we encourage that to continue to happen among our people. Now, if there was a lesson also to be learned from the conversation going on within the American political space regarding the comment of our 45th president, I think the outrage from the rest of the world is very commendable.
Yes.
Now, the question is, if a Nigerian president or political officer have said something like that, will it draw this amount of outrage?
It should.
I mean, does it normally do?
But it doesn't. So, an example. So, one of the governors who hasn't paid civil servants, in 1 year put up a Christmas tree, in another year made a statue of somebody who's not even Nigerian. And the most we got out of it was jokes. I know we make jokes to stop us from crying, but if it stops at jokes, then he's going to become a comedian, because he's going to do something even much funnier, because he's got that. I mean, he thinks he's giving you levity.
People are feeding of it.
Yeah. So if all we do is and also even with what Donald Trump said, right? A lot of people on Facebook and even on WhatsApp, and I've been receiving some of these messages where people are trying to use jokes to justify what he's saying, or say there is some truth in this or some truth in that. He wasn't saying it in that context, and you know it. So it doesn't help to make light of things that are serious. Yes, leave the jokes to the comedians and the professionals. We will laugh at it after a while, but it's not good enough to just make jokes and then, as my dad would say, Onaziane, it's all right. It's all right, then what?
Because why I bring that up is because of the genocide that is going on in Benue. The ongoing genocide within the Nigerian political space being perpetuated by the so-called, and I say so-called, Fulani headsmen.
We should drop that term. These are terrorists. I mean, nobody herds cows and cattle or anything with AK-47. Okay. I haven't seen that to be a shepherding tool.
Mazi Obasi.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you raised that point, because it is really sad that I don't know, some of you may have seen the images on Facebook, yes, where they were burying their dead, yes, in Benue State. Mm-hmm. And there were coffins lined up in trailers being taken to burial. Is it not sad? Is it not sad that you now have people, ordinary citizens, and maybe a few officials being represented in this sort of affair? Don't you think that the president of the country, my question would be, what will it take to get the president of your country to come out and commiserate with his citizens, with the people he actually represents? And let us not forget that, I mean, he is ascribed to having said he will concentrate on people who gave him votes. I believe the Middle Belt area of Nigeria voted solidly for him. So what does it take for the government to accept that something terrible has happened to the people? Yes, it is very easy for us to jump up and scream and shout when it's other people's fault. But like they say in the Bible, take away the beam from your own eye before you start looking for the speck in your neighbor's eye.
Ndi Igbo si orufu ka eji mbazo enyi ibe echeta maka ụbọchị nke ya.
Yeah, and you spoke my heart. You see, because it is Benue today, but there was a time it was Enugu State.
Yes.
Remember what the governor of Enugu said. Ugwuanyi said, I placed a call to the IG of the Commissioner of Police in Enugu State, and I was asked to call the presidency.
And 82 division in Enugu too, he did call him.
And they asked him to call the president. He was on hold for 4 hours. After the carnage, after everything happened, the governor came out, cried, told the whole world what happened. Do you know the next thing that he did? He flew to Abuja.
Well, that's what happened with Benue. He flew to Abuja and met
No,
the president.
onye na-akwa ozu na-ejekwu ndị ga-abịali ya mgbalu ka mmadụ ga-abịali gị mgbalu. What is happening? What is happening to our leaders? What is happening to these governors? Don't they have any sense of decorum or courage? Now, your people are dying. Your president even he should be the one coming to you. Imagine if one American died in one city under this kind of circumstance, the president or a top official of the government from the federal government will be there. And you see the state governor on site, and he's not going anywhere because he's managing the crisis.
Not only that, so let's see what happened, right? So in Abuja, one lady one morning was preaching and got killed.
Yes.
Not too far, not long before that, somebody was telling people who were washing their feet in front of our store to move away before evening prayers. They say she blasphemed against Muhammad, beheaded, not just killed, beheaded and took the head and made a football out of it, moved around the city with it. Nothing happened. This has been going on. It started small. Oh, in Sokoto, is it Zamfara? There was what is it? Is it a Shiite that they went after and the army massacred them? Nothing. How about the Nigerian police and the military against IPOB? It started with what happened in war. Then he moved to Operation Python. I have never heard of something like that where military is doing exercises, war exercises inside a village, killing their own people, and not in a war theater, and nothing happened. But the thing is, what will it take for men of courage, for people to actually say enough is enough? You could kill me, one person, but you can't kill all of us, and we are mad like hell, and we're not going to take it anymore. I am so sorry. I live in the USA, and it's easy for me to say these things because you would tell me, yeah, you're living in your lofty estates in the USA where the trees bear dollars, and you're telling me to put myself in danger. Well, you're right. I live in the USA. Like, I'm thinking, if it happens here, I'll be one of the people protesting and making sure it doesn't happen again.
That's
you
right.
live there. Make it not happen there.
Well, but I think this again drives home the point of the handshake across the Niger. I am sincerely hoping that this does not end up again as symbolism. Fiery speeches for people looking for posh, looking to be settled. Speaking Nigerian language,
yes.
Okay, either a political post, or cash. These are the things that you expect to become the fruit of the handshake across the Niger.
Yes,
these are the things that should bear fruit. It is not talk. It is for you to begin to say, this is the Nigeria we want. In this Nigeria, impunity goes away. That is one of the most important things that needs to go away in Nigeria. Impunity.
Yeah,
yes, we've normalized it. It's a phenomenon not just in Nigeria. I have to say that in the US, we see it from the top again. But the difference is when President Trump makes such a mistake, we have systems and people who stand up to it. The citizenry first and people nearest to him. And we also, like we talked about Dick Durban and
Lindsey
Graham, we have people there who say, look, this is not right, of the same political class. You never hear that in Nigeria. It's just that they will do a courtesy visit. I have absolutely no idea what that means. They will do a courtesy visit to Aso Rock. Then they go home, I'm guessing with their pockets filled, and you hear nothing of whatever happened.
I get full president.
Commiserate, yeah.
And I commiserate.
Commiserate.
Anyway, this is Straight Talk Radio.
Before we get off that topic, I actually, while we were talking about this and the handshake across the Niger, my senior brother from another mother, Yomi Sijuade, asked in Igbo, Kedi Hebo agenda Maka 2018 for diaspora. Now, brothers in Nigeria, while they are talking in Nigeria and handshaking, for those of us who are here in diaspora, what is the agenda for 2018? It's still too early.
You mean for the American election?
Not for
the Nigerians in diaspora.
Nigeria, for Nigerians in diaspora. What is our agenda? Do we have an agenda for the social capital we talked about, for how we build back home?
So, Jide, we will address that.
Okay.
In a different program, but it's a good question.
Yes.
Again, Straight Talk Radio, the world as we see it. We're coming to you from WGHC 98.3 FM. This program is brought to you courtesy of our sponsor, Igbo American Heritage Foundation, and you can hear us every Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. and Tuesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can find us on your radio dial 98.3 FM if you're within our listening area, but please download our app, WGHC app 98.3 FM, and you can listen to good African music. You can listen to great conversations from the African diaspora. This is your station, and we encourage you to continue to listen and support this station. Now, for us at Straight Talk, Tuesday is MLK, Monday is MLK holiday, yes. MLK Day.
Yes.
So we encourage everybody, please participate in MLK celebration. Martin Luther King is an icon, not just because of what he did with the civil rights, but what he represents as an individual and what his message was as a prophet within the America and the global space. So our Tuesday conversation will be dedicated to MLK, a phenomenon for the whole black world to watch, or we'll say the world to watch. So you'll be able to join that conversation on Tuesday, January 16.
Yeah, January 16th.
January 16th.
At 9 p.m.
9
US
to 10
Central.
p.m. So as we round up, I want us, Ucho Nyadianjo, what is the message for Ndi Igbo? Mazi, okay.
So I have two big things, and I'll put it in context of what's happening. The handshake across the Niger, and I'll connect the handshake across the Niger with President Trump. Actually, he did us a favor. A lot of things that we don't talk about, our brothers that were on the way, were taken from us in Africa on the way to the U.S. Something happened, they moved them to an island. And if we Igbos remember what happened in Biafra and who was the first country to actually say Biafra is, then Haiti. President Trump trying to connect Nigeria and Haiti in a sentence just started that conversation for you. So listen to us as the program comes to you next time, because I'll make the connection even clearer for you. And I'll continue to talk about social capital, and there is no reason for you to pay $2,000 every year and fly to Nigeria and come back and complain when you could take off from Miami and get to Haiti in 1 hour, 55 minutes, and it will only cost you $300. You could spend your money there as an investment. You could put it in the ground, and I bet you will have dollar trees, not because you're exploiting the people, but because not only are you building a social community and a social capital and helping people, your brothers who actually, by the way, have names that match yours. I will tell you a story next time. That's number one. Number two, MLK. If you never heard it, even if you've heard it before, listen to the I've Been to the Mountaintop speech again. One of my favorites, the last one before he was unfortunately killed. But in there, he made me understand as a Christian, and even if I wasn't, what it means, what the Good Samaritan story means. But beyond that, you will see him express the struggle, what happened, and his vision casting for if God asked him where he would like to live, we are living his dream. So please listen to that. Thank and you. We'll talk about it next time.
Mazi Obasi, Uche Onyadianjo message for the Igbo.
Well, the Ndi Igbo, my message to them is actually a continuation of the discussion that we've been having tonight, in the sense that the handshake, whether across the Niger, across the Benue, across wherever you want to shake your hand, if you leave it to the political class, it ends up in the political class. Nothing concrete happens. And I want to tie it into the Mazi Oke's brother from another mother's question. Why do we not have a strong diaspora Nigerian organization that is truly looking at Nigeria dispassionately and looking to find ways of addressing the ills in Nigeria? Are we waiting for Nigerians in Nigeria to come and do it for us here? The beginning of any enterprise, the foundation of any enterprise must be laid on truth.
Yes.
If you paper over problems, you're building a house on a rocky foundation.
Thank you.
However, different societies around, I always go right back to Rwanda. Let us look at Rwanda.
Yes.
They suffered a horrible plight.
Yes.
They opened up in truth.
Yes.
And reconciled in truth. Look at where they are today.
So thank you, Mazi Obasi.
Yes. Go ahead. Yes.
We have come to the end of this program. 1 hour flies, but we thank you. You can continue to listen to us on Facebook Live. Put out your comments. We will be responding to some of those comments. Again, this is Straight Talk Radio. See you. Be part of the Tuesday conversation on MLK, a global phenomenon. Again, this is Mazi KK Obasi saying, Kachifonu. Mazi.
Okay, Kachikunde.
Mazi Ejika Obasi.
Ndewono Kachifonu.
See you Tuesday.
Igbo kwenu. Hey. Igbo kwenu. Hey. Mwanu. Hey. Sotano. Hey. Matano. Hey. Kwesonu. Hey.